Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm Brian, joined as always by Ryan. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Brian.
Yeah, glad to hear it. And yeah, we're here to talk about the final episode of season one of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, or Night of the Nine Kingdoms on the outro title card. But Ryan, what are your thoughts about this episode and I guess the season as a whole?
Well, the season as a whole, uh, right, I think we can definitely say pleased overall. I had to think a little more on this episode. It took me a little bit after watching. Um, I would say that overall, for the show, this episode impacted my take on the show very little, but because the show is so great, and I think it was a good episode. But there were a couple of decisions made in this episode that personally probably were not my favorite. I wish they would have just stuck to what was in the books. But it really doesn't matter what I wish. Overall, they did a good job. I just thought there were a couple plot points in there that I don't really see why they put them in there. Well, I do, to create drama, to create, they want to create little subplots. I get it. Like, they got to stretch this out a little bit. Um, there was other new content I liked enough, like the Baratheon stuff. Good, that doesn't harm anyone.
Yeah. Lionel's pretty much just being like, we should like run away together.
Yeah,
So I was like, what? It's like, yeah, I just like leave it all behind, you know?
yeah. He's like, I love you, but if you don't say it back, fuck you. But I still
Yeah,
love you, dude. Like,
yeah, exactly.
but
Uh,
I will spit in your mouth if I see you again. That's just like his vibe. Yeah,
yeah.
you gotta appreciate it for sure. But yeah, I guess we'll start like the Raymond Fosway thing. That was just kind of odd. I don't necessarily think but it's like now we're adding in this subplot. Like, is he like fathering the child of, is it Dondarrion? So are they saying that the first
It
Green
could
Apple
be.
Fosway is a Dondarrion? I mean, it's kind of interesting little thing, but
It
unless they
also
got
could just be that she's like, yeah, I'm definitely pregnant. And he's like, oh
social
shit.
media,
Yeah.
oh, maybe she's not even
And then
married.
she's like, yeah, we'll just keep doing it. Eventually it will happen, you know?
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe something falls through and they don't even. I mean, they don't even marry. I guess who knows? But it just seemed like kind of an odd one to me. And then they're using the same name of like a character later on, who in the books that I quite like, and I think I don't know. I kind of would like them to do that plot, but maybe they'll skip that and do something else. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I just thought that whole thing was kind of interesting. Also, it just kind of like, damn, now it's like done kind of like a like not like a shit friend. I don't know if you like. I guess like it's kind of being a good like. What would you do in that kind of situation, right? Isn't it kind of like, damn, should I talk to my buddy? But like, is he really going to listen to you? Probably not. He's probably just going to get really mad at you.
Is he ever going to be able to get with a hotter girl? That's the real question. And that's how
Oh,
you gotta like put it out. Like he's at, I feel like his stock right now is the highest it's gonna be. He subbed in for a trial of the seven. He survived it. You know, he's on top of the world right now.
for
You know, he's
marrying,
striking while the iron is hot.
though, I mean, not like that, but well, I guess she's probably. Well, I don't know if he knows that she's a prostitute. Not that. Hey,
No, I don't think so. And she definitely was like, "It's nice to meet you, Sir Duncan."
yeah,
Like
yeah.
for the
So
first time.
but yeah, so I caught him, but like, I don't know. I mean, he's a lord, right? I mean, a
Ah,
minor,
I think
well, a very minor lord,
landed
almost.
landed knight,
Yeah, he's a
maybe.
landed knight. Well, I guess,
If that, I don't even know if he has land, but his
yeah, he
cousin's
doesn't.
a landed knight,
No, because
and
he just diverged from
yeah,
his cousin. So
yeah,
yeah, I guess you're right. Uh,
and he's gonna build up a cider business, and it's gonna be sweet. He's living pretty sick life.
is that the do the green apple phosphates make the cider that like
Yeah, they're the
the
green. I
Maester
think they're the
Bros suck
green
down?
apple. Yeah, I think they're the green apple phosphates of cider barrel in the books. So I think that was like what's gonna
Yeah,
happen. Which in the Game of Thrones universe, could have a lot worse life than making cider for a living.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Really, in our universe too. Like it seems like a great job.
Probably, yeah. It seems like it would be easier than making like beer or something.
Right,
I,
right.
I have no idea, but
But I did love the moment where he calls him over and they have like a long bro hug. Maybe a little too long for Dunk's liking, but you know.
it's kind of long for both. Yeah, and then you kind of were like, oh man. Well, I guess maybe people are like, is Raymond? I thought of it like I'm sure people are like, wait, is this dude Raymond like in love with him? Because like he does really like stretch out his neck for him, and then he gives him the good long hug. But you know, it's just kind of. I feel like probably the reality is right. Dunk was a street urchin, and then he was with Arlen, so like he never really like hung out with like other, you know, he never like had a lot of like just normal friends. And like Raymond just had, you know, grew up obviously in a pretty toxic environment where with his older cousins who probably mistreated him. So to have someone who treated him on equal footing, that's probably why it meant so much to him, you know. And that is kind of Dunk's just kind of unassuming, right? That's how he ends up with Egg. Like how they say Dunk DeLunkey does have his advantages. He'll just kind of like stumble into something like, oh, what's up, man? Yeah. Right. It's kind of like he's got the, he's an everyman, you know, despite being massive. And that also attracts people to him as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I think you're right. I think for Raymond, it's just like, yeah, you're just like a really cool dude. Like, chill, nice. Like, don't really get to meet a lot of people like that, especially with all the lords in Westeros. We know that like a lot of them are pretty shitty people.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's a sign too. Like that girl, right, has the girl that he does marry, at least like she seems to have a bit of a good heart where she definitely like sympathizes with him a little more than most, but she's like, you know, kind of like this is a cruel world. So she finds a good balance, I guess, where it's like, yeah, this guy has a decent family name. There's a chance maybe he can do something eventually, but like really, yeah, he is just like a landed knight. So yeah, it ends up being like a good balance, I guess.
Yeah. No, I didn't mind that so much.
No, I wouldn't say that. Yeah, that is pretty minor. It's just kind of more, interesting. It was like weird. Like, what are the implications of this? It just was kind of interesting, but like it's not really. It was more the other point that I still have to think about, but it's probably fine.
Yeah. And who knows? I don't like in the novellas, he doesn't come back up. So who knows if we'll see him again?
Yeah.
Like,
no, we just know the red apple Fossways, green apple Fossways. But I mean, he might. I mean, you know, probably
he officially changed his sigil. People were sad that didn't happen last episode, but I'm glad they at least put it in this one.
It was cool. They showed the green apple on the shield. I was a fan of that.
Yeah, and so we got that scene with Maker very much in the books. Actually, right before it, we got a very funny little scene with the girl whose birthday it is. And she's like, hey, I don't blame you for ruining my birthday.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty good. Because also it's just
hilarious.
It just kind of showed some of the absurdity of like this guy like throwing this huge tourney for his daughter, and it's like meanwhile they are lords and ladies, but compared to like the grander scheme, it's like very minor. But like to her, she's like the center of the universe for the weekend. You know, he like probably doesn't even think about it, but she's so much, you know, more important than he is. But then she's like, hey, it's okay, and he's just like, oh shit, all right. And if you don't remember it, but right, it kind of shows how, and maybe it was because just thinking like Baylor, that's maybe where it has bigger implications is, if you remember, she mistreated him earlier on. So it's kind of like how the public, at least on like, you know, the aristocracy or whatever, has like, how they maybe changed their view on Dunk to some degree, you know, like she clearly wasn't mad at him and like sees the good in what he did because that, right. And we know that obviously he's probably somewhat beloved by the public as well.
Yeah. Not beloved by Baylor's son, though, of course.
No, and that scene they did pretty well. And honestly, they cast the son pretty well, I thought. I mean, not that there's like much to do to it, but it's just like, right, he was the right amount of just like dull and just like listless and just
Yeah.
yeah, he had the white streak in his hair. And I mean, what else would you expect? I mean, I think it's a pretty fair response. It's a little cold, but like, yeah, he just lost
Yeah.
his dad.
No, yeah, totally reasonable.
And again, it's him and his dad. He's been like, you know, obviously he's more raised towards him, and then all his cousins are shitheads, and like make her, especially in the show, is like a real kind of like maybe a little of a I don't know about if wild card's the right one. He's got a bit of a temper for sure. He can fly off the handle a little bit. So he's just kind of left in this disarray, and he's like, from his perspective, I think it's understandable, but it's still like a pretty cold and harsh thing to say. But like, I think what can you expect when you approach someone like that? Yeah.
Yeah. So probably my favorite scene in the episode is between Makor and Dunk, where they're having this conversation, and he wants him to be, his man, finish his training, and for Egg to be his squire. Um, and there's, I think like so much here where it's just like you feel for Makor so much, where he's like, he's my only son, or my last son rather. And it's just like, like he obviously wouldn't want his son to go out and live this kind of a life. It's probably very frightening, the prospect of it, but he also loves his son. And, he recognizes that he probably did drop the ball at least once.
Yeah.
Daron, I blame more on him being cursed with prophetic dreams than anything else, but
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. I mean, maybe he's got a slight, and maybe that's part of it. You could say maybe he doesn't have the most like noble character, but he's just like, he's pretty self-aware.
Yeah, when you have dreams of stuff that's going to happen, I feel like it's almost like, why even bother doing anything, because it's just going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
which is kind of, we have that scene later in the tent when he showed up, and Dunk's like, you have a lot of nerve to just like come here to these
Yeah.
two people who died because you lied. And he's just kind of like, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, he's definitely like pretty casual about everything, and he's like, I don't know, he like recognizes it, but he's like pretty just like unapologetic and unassuming somehow. The actor does a good job of playing him, but I think what you were referring to with like the only son I have left, kind of, that's more in the second conversation, right? That they have after he meets with
I might be merging.
yeah, so because that one person, so I'd have to go back and check, but I'm not sure that Darian, I don't think that Dunk initially rejects him. Like, I think he thinks about rejecting him, but it's just one conversation and he agrees. And what I think is kind of pivotal, it's like Dunk's own kind of decision to be like, I could be wrong on this, but I believe so. But he said, he kind of says like, did your two other sons like eat hard beef and like sleep under the trees? And do we want to discuss the difference in the books versus the show?
Yeah, we can get to it. Obviously, Egg is very sad to hear Dunk doesn't want anything to do with them anymore. And Egg almost straight up murders his brother.
Yeah, so again, they added that in, and then they add that in as well. That one was not something I thought, but I did think it was a little weird. They are giving Egg a bit more of a he's like a little, I feel like at this point in the books, he's a little feisty, but I would say he's overall pretty tempered. He's more just kind of like maybe just like a smart aleck, but not more just in like, oh well, I know this, and he's not gonna like he's not gonna like just like fold down if he knows something's right, but it's in like a pretty amicable way. So for them to kind of have this, it's kind of a similar thing they do with Danny, honestly. I thought of, so they're just really going for the Targaryen madness, which is fine. I don't know. Like I said, I think Egg's a great character as he is. But it adds some intrigue to it.
No, I agree. It definitely adds a little bit of intrigue. And I thought maybe it would be like a moment where when Dunk does come back, Maycor is like, yeah, you know what? Clearly, what I'm doing is not working. Maybe you're
Yeah.
right.
Well, and that would have been a point to maybe it's like, yeah, and you could see that too, right? Where it's like, all right, maybe for Maker to just agree wouldn't be believable to some people the way
Yeah.
he's portrayed in the show or whatever. Like this guy seems kind of stubborn. Or they just wanted to add some minutes onto the episode. But obviously that's not the case. We find out at the end of the episode that he is not swayed and he does actually care for Egg to stay at home.
Yeah. So what do you think of that change?
I don't necessarily love it personally, but I'd have to think about it overall just because I I think it changes the characters a bit, right? It changes Egg. It kind and again, he's kind of deceiving Dunk again. So it like adds
Yeah,
his
right.
component, and it adds this component to his character that kind of takes away from their relationship, right? And another big part of their of like the next one is the fact that Maker agrees and gives he actually gives Dunk a sigil of Targaryen, that kind of helps them. So,
It's
as much as
his
like,
ring, right? His ring that he seals like letters with.
isn't it a coin?
It might be a coin.
No, it's a
Maybe
coin.
yeah.
It's a coin of the three-headed dragon, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that and right. So that's like kind of like as great, as likable as Dunk is and as strong as he is, like they've got that as well up their arsenal. As proof that hey, like you see that like little squire over there, he's actually like
Yeah. Yeah. If things really go bad or like Dunk dies, like, which is not an unreasonable thing to have happen in Westeros. Like, at
yeah.
least Egg has a little bit of a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, and again, I
To play
think
with.
and I didn't even thought like this deep into it, but like right, a pretty huge like point earlier on is like Dunk is pretty betrayed by the fact that he's lied to.
Yeah.
And right, and then he kind of sees that like Egg was just a kid. Now Egg does it again, and
Yeah.
given it is out of his own self need, it's not to hurt Dunk necessarily, but and I think by then Dunk will see how much Egg clearly cares about him. But I thought it was it's tough, and we'll see how it fleshes out. But I think it kind of adds a component to
Yeah.
the relationship that I don't love. But I also think I get it. Again, it adds intrigue. It adds another subplot. There's going to be more stuff to be reconciled.
Yeah. I didn't really like the change personally.
Yeah, no,
A lot of the same things that you said. I think it's like a big moment for Maker to allow Egg to
yeah,
go.
that's
And yeah, it's just like we're gonna have to have a scene where this comes back around, right? And Maker actually like changes his mind. Like I imagine they're gonna add something because I mean, not to get too much in spoilers, but it's not like Dunk and Egg don't run across extended family members of Egg in future novellas, right? Like you'd think if that happened in this show that they would take Egg, from Duncan.
Yeah, and again, it kind of takes away from like his Maker, and this is like kind of more minor compared to that, but it's like I think we had talked about in a previous episode or two ago that like Maker definitely like he's got a temper and stuff, but he's not quite like a mad Targaryen. He's not necessarily a bad guy, right? He's just someone he's just a flawed person and father who loves his sons and is willing to kind of look at his mistakes and try to do what he thinks is best. And this kind of modifies that a little more. Doesn't necessarily depict him as a bad person, but again, it's kind of creating a new, not necessarily like a villain, but right, he is like an antagonist still at this point. So yeah,
Yeah,
no,
well, I
like I said,
mean,
I didn't really
how
like.
hard would it be to track down Dunk and Egg realistically? Like,
Yeah, not very much. They just have to put up a
hey, have
bunch
you
of
seen a
posters.
giant hedge knight with a small bald squire? You know?
Yeah, the same. Yeah, I mean, they could have fun with that in the sense that, like, I think Dunk in general will probably try to be careful, or like try to be right. But then we
Yeah.
also know like he's not very good at that kind of thing, and right, Egg is like is even more so in this. He's pretty unpredictable, and he gets involved in stuff that he shouldn't always get involved in because
Yeah.
he's. I mean, it makes sense. He's a Targaryen. He's like, well, hold up, I can solve this. This is what we do. We take people's lands and we
And
we
like
take control
anytime
of them.
anyone is like talking shit about his family, he's always like, that's not true.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it. And Dunk's inner monologue is always just like, this kid's gonna get us killed. But yeah, I liked the moment where they came together and they rode off together and they had the I guess the ghost of Sir Arlen of Pennytree with them before he goes off, and Dunk nails the penny to the tree. But that brings us back to another huge change in the show. So they straight up just confirm, and like if you read the book, yeah, you know that Dunk's not truly a knight. Like there's way too many hints to where it's like it basically it tells you without outright telling you, which I liked, and I kind of hoped the show would do the same thing. But no, it's just straight up confirming that he's not knighted.
Yeah, well, it didn't. I mean, it didn't necessarily straight up confirm because then he is still awake. So maybe
That's
he
true.
like.
Maybe that
So
last
they did
minute,
kind of they played around with it a little bit. So that
right at the buzzer.
for that reason, I didn't necessarily hate it. I thought it was kind of funny because it's like, yeah, he probably wasn't knighted. We all kind of right. That's a
Yeah.
reading the book stuff. I think everyone can
I mean,
agree. It's
there's a
highly unlikely.
line.
It's highly unlikely he was knighted. There's a lot of
Yeah,
implications for that.
there's a line in the first one where it's like he's not mad at Egg because he knows what it's like to tell a lie so monstrous for like something that you want, like something to that effect, where it's like, okay, well, what could that be? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't love that, but it was a fun scene. Sir Arlen, goes out joking.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and then he changed. Yeah, it was pretty on par with how he's been this season. I thought all of that was good. Yeah, like I said, I thought the episode overall pretty good. I was more just the ending I didn't love, and then there's just a couple weird modifiers, but yeah, I wouldn't say for me. I'm not going to let it ruin what was a fantastic season.
Right. And I did like the story of Pennytree, that when they get called off to war, they nail a penny to the
Yeah,
tree and then they're going to take it back when they get back. But then Sir Arlen's like, there's so many pennies that you can't even find a spot, implying that most people who get called off to war from Pennytree don't end up coming back, which makes
yeah.
sense. I mean, it's probably the same story with a lot of smaller villages in
It's a cool
this
idea,
world.
right? And it kind of explains how it happened. It was like, yeah, he was just like one of many, a guy who was forced to fight against his will. And then he's like, oh, you know what? I'm actually kind of good at this. And,
Yeah.
probably messed him up a little bit. And then he just continued to sacrifice his body for, the good of the realm. And that kind of fuels, Dunk's identity, obviously.
Yeah. No, I really liked that. Thought it was a nice addition, but
Mm-hmm.
great
Yeah.
season. Sad it's over. Can't wait for the next season.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what is it coming out next year?
That's the rumor that it's going to
That would
be
be
a yearly show,
okay.
and that George R. R. Martin gave Ira Parker, the showrunner, 10 to 12 Dunkin' Egg stories.
Yeah, you did mention
spread
that.
it
Yeah.
out, so we should be eating good here. But do you want to last few minutes? Did you get a chance to watch the House of the Dragon season 3 trailer?
I did. Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was probably I don't know, just took a different jump. I thought where it's like, hey, we're gonna like settle
The
stuff.
war's actually happening.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
shit's gonna go down. I liked it. Yeah, I thought it looked good.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good trailer. I can't wait for that. Obviously, we'll be here covering it on
Yeah,
our show, and well, it's gonna be a sad season. A lot of people are gonna be meeting untimely ends, but we'll be having fun covering it, like sports announcers on the sideline breaking it all down.
for sure.
All right, anything you want to promote or plug before we get out of here?
Not that I can think of, just besides obviously we haven't done one in a while, but we have other podcasts we've done in the past. There's been like NBA, we've done NBA stuff. I don't know if we have any sports stuff, but just obviously check out everything Wicked Good.
Yeah, check out all the Wicked Good channels, including Wicked Everything, Those Fake Nerds, Wicked Good Sports, and our podcasting channel, which is where this is airing, Better Radio. We did have a channel specific for this, but YouTube decided that I had too many channels, I think.
Oh, really?
And shut me out of it. So
It's
I
funny
might have
'cause
to relaunch a channel.
I tried to find this once and I couldn't, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, we might have to relaunch a channel and have you be the one to sign up for it
Oh, gotcha.
ahead of season 3. Because YouTube was like, you have like 10 channels. This is too much. Like,
That's fair.
Fair enough. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you when House of the Dragon season 3 comes out. And maybe in between we'll hop on, talk, if there's news or anything we want to talk about. Maybe The Wings of Winter will come out of nowhere, and Ryan and I will speed read that and then come back here. I mean, Winds of Winter comes out, I'm shutting everything else in my life down. Like, no one talk to me until I'm done. I need to read it,
Oh, 100%. I cannot confirm nor deny what I'll be doing on that day, regardless if it's a work day.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, yeah. No, that's, I mean, I was there like 2 years ago, or like 3 or 4 years ago, even before that, let alone like now if it came out. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it would be the most called out day, next to probably when GTA 6 comes out.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see.
Productivity takes a huge nosedive because of George R. R. Martin. So, I mean, I'm still hopeful, but I'm not counting on it,
No, I don't think have there been any updates. I've kind of at this point just assumed.
Yeah, I assumed it's just like, listen, you're going to get TV shows. Like, you're not going to get the books, but you're going to get a lot of television shows, which is fine and good for us as podcasters. Yeah. All right, man. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you in the next one.